Okay, everybody, it's all about math. Okay, we already talked about that everything in our society and the world and the universe is based upon math, science, chemistry, biochemistry, physics. Okay, and so now we need to start taking math, science, chemistry, biochemistry, physics, and apply it to then our economy, which, okay, I'm going from, I don't know, I've been going through a lot of different stages. And now I'm covering like economics and politics, which I was trying to stay away from, but it's impossible to stay away from economics and politics when you're dealing with imbalances and balances of the human population and of our society. And so I've made this connection, which makes sense because I talk about microcosm to macrocosm, that the human body, okay, on a state of decline, that creates a society on a state of decline, will then have an end times, so to speak. So right now in our society, we live to be about maybe 100. So there's probably like 30 or 40 or 50 years where there's going to be a viability in a person, assuming that they're relatively healthy. Okay, so you then take that and you then transfer it to a civilization. Okay, obviously it's not going to be the same time frame, but you're going to see a civilization like, let's say, the West, like America. And if America is predicated on death and reproduction, you're going to see the birth of America. You're going to see the teenage portion of America. You're then going to see the middle age of America. So you're going to see then we finally have gotten out. It's like right now I was thinking about all this political stuff, and then someone was trying to make the connection, which makes sense, that we're in our teenage years. We're trying on different political platforms to see what fits, and we're obviously having issues and problems. But I'm thinking that we're past the teenage stage. I'm thinking when you actually look at the birth of America, the teenage stage was probably in the, I would say, World War II, where it's like a major war, because you look at teenagers are at war with themselves and at war with their surroundings and their parents. And so that's a major tumultuous period for most teenagers because they're learning about everything and they're making a lot of mistakes. Well, we made a lot of mistakes and we're learning a lot of stuff back in World War II. I mean, what we did to Japan, and we've also, won a lot of battles as well and created allies and all that. But teenagers do the same thing. If they survive their teen years and they win battles and they make mistakes and they now learned, and now they enter into their 20s and 30s and 40s and 50s, of which then is their time to shine and be productive in society. So it's the same thing with America. The 40s, the 50s, the 60s, the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, the 2000s. Okay, so the 40s to the 90s, about 50 years of innovation, productivity, going through the ups and downs, different relationships, different allies, a lot of stuff. Okay, and so now we're seeing a decline, just like you see in the human body, a decline starting in their 50s. That's starting in their 40s, but you see it's more prominent in the 50s and the 60s in the human body. So, and then now we're seeing people glitching. Okay, so when you start seeing your cells glitch, you start seeing major issues come to surface, like major symptoms. You're seeing that in the population on a collective level. Okay, with the wars, with the people glitching and shooting and stabbing and infanticide and crimes being committed, and then we have psychological warfare going on. It's just like, holy crap. So right now, the human population, whether it's America or even the world, as we are on this death trajectory and life trajectory, okay, because our society, now this is where I'm going to bring in capitalism and socialism. Okay, so there are societies like the USSR way back when it was really strong, they were a socialist government, very strong, and then they had a decline somewhere for whatever reason. And you know why? Because they're on a death trajectory. Socialism on weak bodies is not going to work out very well, obviously. But now we have America that is like Democrat, Republican, and then you have the independents and all that stuff. And so it's like capitalism / socialism. Well, what is capitalism on a weak body? Well, you're going to have different states of decline. So you're going to have you're going to have overlap. You're going to have people that are going to be dying. So there are people that are reproducing. And so you see, then we have to have infrastructure to deal with the reproduction process, the education process, the whole learning process. And then you have now the productivity stage. So maybe 20, 30, 40 years of productivity. And then you start seeing the decline. Now you have an infrastructure to handle the decline of a population. And so companies and of course infrastructure has to manage the state of reproduction and aging. Okay? And so socialism would be based upon kind of like a weak body when you think about it, because it means that you're now taking handouts from the government. You're not really able to fend for yourself, so you have to take part in all these different agencies and resources. Okay, that's fine. Socialism is for people who are on a state of decline. Okay? Because they need a helping hand. They need somebody to kind of help take care of them. Completely understandable. Then you have capitalism. It's for the strong. Capitalism is for when someone goes and says, okay, I'm going to go and kick somebody else's ass and take market share and be more strategic, more stronger, more effective, more all this stuff. And then you see companies and you see people rise up in companies, like you see like in the real estate company. You see the bright shining stars, like on the Bravo, the $1 million listing. Those are like the cream of de la cream as far as real estate, because they're dealing with millions and millions and millions of dollars with all the different very, very wealthy people in the whole world. Okay, so you see that, and I'm looking at the one like, at some point, yes, I mean, they're reproducing, these real estate agents, and then eventually they're going to be on the decline. Okay, and then another real estate agent or another person then rises up, and then all this stuff. Then you have the whole education process. So that's what capitalism is where you capitalize on someone's strengths for that certain amount of time, and then they go on that decline. But then, assuming that we still have reproduction going on, of course, then another person goes in and fills in that place. And so it's a constant revolving door in our society. And then we have to then be able to feed. So you have one person, two people that have 10 children. Okay? There are people dying too, but that overlap. And so we're constantly having to feed. So we're not really producing more than we are consuming. We're actually kind of like a cancer when you think about it. Now I understand what I mean by cancer, like humans can be a cancer, because we're reproducing more than we are producing. So we're consuming more than we're producing. And then we are seeing, and we're on this capitalism / socialism, especially in America. I'm looking at it from America's point of view. And so then you're seeing the different states of decline, but it's becoming exponentially worse as far as our state of decline. The state of decline in humanity, at least in America and probably all over the world, is becoming faster. Like the window of productivity is becoming smaller and smaller. And so people are actually declining faster and sooner. Okay? And so then I'm looking at the other side of it. Then I'm like, okay, then what is a population that is neither dying or reproducing? Well, you won't have companies, a lot of companies. You're going to start seeing the decline in companies. Okay, because you're not going to have enough people to fill in these companies. So you're going to see companies fold. You're going to see government trying to bring in people to help manage the infrastructure during this process, because But here's the thing, there's still a process to go from a weak population to finally now, let's say they're doing J juice, okay? And so you're going to see people that are not going to do J juice, so they'll still be in a state of decline, and then you'll have to deal with them and have to make sure they have access to resources on their way out. But eventually, at some point, there's going to be a point where everyone that is on a state of decline, and then they reproduce themselves out of existence, because at some point, the time frame of productivity is going to be so small to where you're reproducing kids that can't even contribute to an economy or contribute to their society, and then they pass away sooner, and then they don't have children. See, that's what's going to happen. And so on that journey towards a strong, non-aging, non-dying, non-reproducing society, you're going to still see the states of decline. And then eventually we're going to reach that point. And this is my projection. We're going to reach a point where we're not going to be reproducing or aging. And so then we can actually implement a resource-based economy where whatever you are producing or whatever you are consuming, you're going to overproduce. Like nature and food and all these things are going to then be for the people, that they're not going to be dying or reproducing. And so you'll have a lot more yield. But then you're not going to be having all these different factories, and you're not going to have all these different corporations and companies producing and creating all of this stuff like plastic. And so all of you environmentalists, you have the right idea as far as resource-based economy, but you also have to then implement the biological processes to then cater to that kind of economy. You can't cater this resource-based economy on very weak and declining bodies that is predicated on death and reproduction. Okay? I mean, eventually nature is going to balance things out, and then the people who are reproducing on very, very weak bodies, the children are not going to live very long, and they won't be taking up space on this earth or eating themselves, or eating everybody out of existence. They won't even be around, and then that family line will be then cut off, and then eventually the whole family line is going to be done. Okay? So then you think about, okay, then capitalism. So we're still bringing in capitalism on a strong body is going to be like communism / socialism. Not really. It's going to be like basically communism, because David and Goliath. David was strong because he had the strategy, and Goliath, the bigger he was, the harder he fell. But when you're competing against someone that's your equal, there's no competition. So then you start working together. But when you're in a capitalistic society on a weak body, you're basically trying to take over a weaker person. You're trying to envelop a weaker person. So that's the mentality of a capitalist society on weak bodies. It's how can you take over somebody else? But when you are actually equal, and you're both are, even though you're, maybe let's say you're 150, but you have the body of and the mind and the spirit of somebody that's in their 30s. There's no competition. So then you start working together, figure out how can you then coexist when nobody's dying and reproducing. Then it becomes resource-based. Oh, you have this, I have that. Oh, okay. This is what we can do to trade this and trade that. Okay. So, I mean, this is kind of like my thoughts of the future. Okay. As far as the J juice, because then I'm looking at right now, I mean, what has me got into this is because I'm looking at like Putin, and I'm looking at, and I'm studying like Putin, Russia, and the KGB psychological manipulations. And I'm studying the media. I'm studying how you guys are reacting to the media and what you're projecting and what blanks you're filling in based upon your biological makeup. And it's becoming so obvious what truly is going on. And so, the KGB, the CIA, I mean, what's different than, Putin and the KGB than George Bush Sr. and the CIA? There's no difference. Okay? They're both taking ways to wage war against weak people and strong people and trying to apply different methods. so America has done like the waterboarding. Well, the KGB, no, they're not. I mean, Russia is not a strong nation. You know, watching some of these frontline videos, I'm getting an insight on what really truly makes up a person who works with what they have. Not is like pretending that they have all these resources and working from that, and then the foundation falls from under him. Putin knows that his society isn't as strong as America, but he's figured out psychological manipulation. That doesn't take a lot of resources. America has a bunch of resources because we have a bunch of people that are dying and reproducing. And like, I won't say a cancer because that sounds so horrible, but that's what the West is predicated upon, is the fact that what gives us our strength for a certain amount of time is the fact that we are dying and reproducing. But it's now going to bite us in the ass. Okay, because Mother Nature is not going to allow a person to do this for too long. Okay, Mother Nature has a balance, and we're reaching towards the end if we're on this death trajectory. So Putin figured out how to psychologically manipulate. And I'm thinking like all these different news outlets like Russia Times and CNN and Fox and NPR and PBS and all these different news outlets, you know, have their perspective. And of course, where do you get your information from? At some point, you're going to have to get information, and then you're going to have to filter it through some kind of something in your body. And that's why I say, like in one of my posts with a picture saying that, you know, you see through the eyes of your own internal universe and you speak out your ass. Because the alimentary canal is basically our mouth connected all the way to our ass. And if you have a bunch of shit somewhere locked up inside your body, not being able to be released because of your mutations and because of your stagnancy, then you'll be speaking and seeing things through major gunk, major trauma, major prejudices, all of that. And so then what are you seeing really is what you're seeing and hearing, or are you just seeing everything through? And you're seeing things through your own internal universe. Okay? But whether or not you have released all that and whether or not you haven't. Okay, so let's say you have a person that's on the JJuice and has released all that and they're all well balanced like me. Okay, for the most part. And then you have another person that's not on the JJuice. And then we both read a news story. And if you react to that news story, making an assumption over something, you're projecting. See, this is the thing. I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to explain this, because the whole thing with Julian Assange, this is really, because I never really thought Julian Assange, I always thought something weird about Julian Assange, because how is it he's able to escape the US government? How is he able to go and take asylum in Russia and different parts of the country? Because I'm going to tell you, they don't do this with a lot of people that are wanting asylum. Some countries will turn over and extradite criminals of America or Europe and all that. So why didn't he get extradited back when he was on the run? And through my conspiracy world, I thought it was the US government that did this and all that. But then why would the US government protect someone that basically is embarrassing them? Okay. And then I'm looking at Russia Times, and they speak very good English. Okay. So it's not like they're speaking, broken English and have major heavy accents. So I'm thinking like, okay, Russia Times. So we're having a news source come out of Russia. And they speak very, very good English. And they have a spin on all the things that are going on. And so when you have someone like Julian Assange, who's this rogue journalist, or through someone's perception, through their own projection, they think that he's like this moral person that wants to go and expose all of the corruption in government. And I'm like, no, because now I'm looking at, there are world leaders out there that have a stake in who it is that we have in office. There are world leaders out there that would rather have one person over another person because of their foreign policy. Okay, now say what you want about the voting system in our country. It is what it is. And maybe the voting works, maybe it doesn't. We all can have an opinion on as far as our election system. But these countries, these leaders, these dictators, leaders like, you know, like Putin and all the different dictators, as well as leaders in other countries, they have a stake in who it is that's in charge. And so what makes you think? Now, we hear about the hacking of the DNC database, and then all of the emails of Hillary Clinton and it are being put out there, as well as other types of secrets that we have, national security stuff that's being exposed now. So who would have an incentive to do that? Who would have an incentive to do that? Why would your own government go? Now, this is the thing, what has caused the weakness in America is this capitalism versus socialism. Okay? The weaknesses in America, which I'm looking at, is the fact that we are so divided with Republican and Democrat independent that we are going to automatically fill in the gaps when we see this exposure of like Hillary Clinton. And then we see this whole thing with the pedophile stuff and the child trafficking stuff. And then we start filling in the gaps. We don't know truly what motivates anyone or anything, or what truly is behind all these stories. We just start seeing people put things together, and then we don't really question. And that's for me too. We don't question, we automatically fill in the gaps because we have a projection of our whatever it is that we believe in and what we've been taught and all of our crap, and we're projecting our viewpoints onto these news stories. And so when I was going on Russia Times, and Russia Times was totally like promoting Julian Assange, saying, "Oh, don't forget Julian Assange. He's being treated like horrible in America," and all this other stuff. I'm like, and I'm just rolling my eyes, and I'm like, okay. And I'm not trying to be totally obvious about my politics. So you can see it on my Facebook if anybody that was dropping by can see my politics on my Facebook. But I'm like, Russia Times ... Julian Assange. And then I have a type of emoji. And then I knew I was going to attract someone that's going to be like, what the hell? And I did. And they were like, so what do you mean? They're like, what do you mean, in different language? And this is where Facebook has no borders, okay? So this guy from another country that has, probably Greek, I guess, it was like in his language that I hit translate. He's like, what do you mean? And I'm like, well, who is Julian Assange? What gave him the idea and the access and the ability? Who gave him this information and why? Because it's not like, you know, he's going to go walk into the DNC, the DNC building and then go upload the emails or download the emails and download all the secrets of our government. He's not going to do that. We have a lot of security. I mean, come on, we got to give our government a little bit of credit. Okay, you can't just walk in and take whatever they have. Somebody gave him this information. And then what did he do? He posted it. Because now this is, from my point of view, of ulterior conspiracy, is that he posted it to then drive more of a infighting, a wedge between the Democrats and Republicans, giving, obviously, potentially, the Republicans an edge over the Democrats. And then you spin the whole Clinton thing and the pedophile bullshit and all that stuff in with it. Now you're seeing an American public being manipulated by somebody who potentially, now here's the thing. Somebody was saying that, you know, on that thread that, oh, you know, he's doing something good or whatever. I'm like, are you sure you're not projecting your moral authority onto this article or onto him? And they're like, well, how are you? Then maybe you're projecting your ulterior motive conspiracy theory onto this. I'm like, yeah, exactly. Exactly. So if we don't truly freaking know, why the hell are we coming off like we know? We should have actually no opinion about Julian Assange. We should have absolutely no opinion about Trump. We should actually have no opinion about anything because we don't fucking know. But the reason why we know is because we're projecting our morals onto somebody else, or projecting our thought process filtered through our perceptions onto every single news story out there, filling in the blanks. And that's the same thing with articles that were written about me. Okay? People write articles and they put specific sequence of events and they juxtaposition them very, very carefully to then create a picture. And then when someone reads it, they're going to then project their belief system and fill in the blanks. And some who realize that, you know, that the J juice is wonderful, be like, yeah, this is bullshit. Others that are so afraid will fill in their own blanks, say, oh yeah, Julian killed somebody. And that's how you get the Tower of Babel and the division. And then this is how then outside manipulators are then going in and basically plucking your strings. And I see it in a lot of you that are still playing the politics game. You're being plucked like a freaking violin. And it's like almost, it makes me wince now. It's so crazy. It really is. Because really, truly, if you have no idea what truly drives a person, if you have no idea what actually happened in the background to get a person to have access to all these emails and all of this information, to then put it on the internet called WikiLeaks, if you, I mean, that's this whole thing is if you don't know, then how the hell are you going to say that you know this is what truly is what? And then guess what? People then spin off into this. Oh yeah, Trump is so great. Oh yeah, Hillary is so great. Or oh yeah, Hillary's so awful. And then you find, and then guess what? Then there's more websites being created by some outside instigator that wants to see America freaking fall on its face. And then you guys are then basically giving them what they want. You're causing the weakness, the weakness in our nation. Both Democrat and Republican, because you're both reacting from a truth that you know, from truth that you haven't substantiated. But then these journalists do the same thing. They go and take information and they fill in the blanks and paint a story, and then you guys all eat it up, gobble it up like it's like some kind of food, and then you can't wait to go and regurgitate it. You can't wait to parrot it, regurgitate it, and then get all your friends and family all up in arms. And it makes me sick. Now that I see it, it makes me fucking sick. Eventually down the road, I hope we do have people on the J juice that stay on the J juice. Because this is what's going to allow us to then see through the bullshit and not take part in the weakening of your own nation, of your own family. Okay? The death and reproduction is what's going to ultimately weaken any nation. Because eventually that window of productivity and sanity is going to be narrower and narrower. And you see it in kids that are contracting cancer, disease, and chronic illness, okay, at an earlier age. And then you see, regardless of the motive behind these shooters, people say, oh yeah, it's Antifa, oh yeah, it's a MAGA, oh yeah, it's a woman hater. That's another argument about this motive of the El Paso shooter, or is it the El Paso shooter, is that he actually was an Antifa. He may have been a leftist because that's his politics, but he could have been driven by something else. But we are filling in the blanks to create then this political platform. And then you see all the Democrats, Republicans going, oh yeah, it's Antifa. Oh yeah, where were your guns at that point? Oh yeah, Antifa is now doing all this stuff. And then you guys go out and you want to go and be an activist and you want to be out there on the street. You have no idea who you're dealing with when you're out in the street. Now you have even more. That's what I'm saying. You guys, when you start reacting and making and believing these articles, especially around politics, you're projecting your own weaknesses, your own state of decline. And then guess what? You're contributing to the state of decline of our nation. That's pretty freaking profound. You don't even realize it. It's so insidious because you're trying to find ways to talk about these news stories as if you are trying to come from a neutral point of view when you're still feeding into the same thing. I see it. I know. I understand. Because I know you guys don't ignore me. You know where I'm coming from. I've talked about it personally with some of you. But this is what goes on. So if you can't physically take down a nation, then it's a psychological manipulation through information and disinformation, and yeah. And then also, then you bring in the biological warfare along with it. So biological warfare, psychological warfare, a weak body will not be able to withstand that. They will, and you will see your friends and family a victim of biological and psychological warfare by simply just looking at their politics, what they write on their Facebook. You will see it. It's so obvious. So then we'd be like, well, what do we talk about then? You talk about your healing. You talk about a future society that has no death and reproduction, no manipulation, none of this bullshit that's out there. You start exposing what truly is going on. You stop falling for Trump or falling for Hillary or falling for all of these political pundits. And you realize it's all a freaking manipulation. All of it is. But you guys are still, some of you are not doing the JJs at the level that you should. So you're not seeing this. Some of you are pretending to do JJs at the level that you think you should. But and I get it. That's fine. You want to make me happy because you want to stay friends with me. But I know kind of the truth because I can see it. If I see myself, I see through all the manipulation and I get it now. And I'm like thinking on a very different level, especially if you've been on the JJs for the same amount of time that I've been on. So I know some of you have a lot more to deal with. But I'm telling you, how long are you going to say, well, I got a lot of issues to deal with. You came into this with only a certain amount of issues. I have like so many of them. So, so that excuses you to still feed into the bullshit. But I'm telling you guys, you're not going to see any of this end until you finally buy into the fact that we shouldn't be dying and we shouldn't be reproducing. A resource-based economy is based upon a body that never dies. So that way, that is the balance of nature. I mean, the Georgia Guidestones, and I'm telling you, I'm not some plant of the CIA or some MK Ultra, survivor or MK Ultra victim or no. I mean, I guess would an MK Ultra person say that they are? Well, I've had my issues in my past, okay? I've had a lot of growing up I had to do for many, many years. And believe me, I didn't feel this way forever. I had to go through stages of adopting something and then basically analyzing it to death, tearing it apart, and then being okay with changing my mind from being anti-vax to being okay, vaccines have a place, from being anti-government to being now okay, government has a place, from being Democrat to Republican to libertarian to now to being like, holy crap, it's all a bunch of bullshit. But hey, we need to have some kind of leadership because we have people who are dying and reproducing that need management. People that are in a state of decline need someone to take care of them. They need government. That's why government's around, is because with people who are reproducing, then you got to educate that child. You got to make sure that child's taken care of. You got to manage that child who may have issues. And so that's why you have law enforcement, because people who are imbalanced and sick need to have somebody tell them, hey, that's wrong. You shouldn't drink and drive. You shouldn't steal. You shouldn't do this. You shouldn't do that. Okay. That's why we have infrastructure to deal with the people on the state of decline. Imagine if everybody was healthy 100%, not dying and not reproducing, you wouldn't need government, because we'd be governed, we'd be self-governing. We would know right from wrong because we're all coming from a life perspective, an actual literal pro-life perspective, not the political pro-life. Oh, let's save the babies, but let grandma die tomorrow. That's okay if grandma dies. That's the hypocrisy that I don't understand with the pro-lifers. Oh, you're so pro-life, but it's okay for your mom to die. It's okay for grandma to die. Half-heartedly, okay, yeah, promote JJs, but really, truly, you still want to stay stuck in your politics. I get it. I understand. So yeah. So the future of our society, when no one's dying and no one is reproducing, we're going to see a decline in corporations. We're going to see a decline in having all of these agricultural farms. You're going to see nature finally come back to places where nature hasn't come back. That's the whole point of the Georgia Guidestones, is living perpetual balance with nature, guiding reproduction carefully, traditions, fitness, and diversity. Okay, that, and I only learned about the Georgia Guidestones when I first started, in the conspiracy world. Yes, Angela. Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. I only learned about the Georgia Guidestones in my world of the conspiracy. And I thought it was a new world order. It's going to go and kill everybody. And then I'm thinking, you know what? Somebody knew somewhere in the population was going to figure this shit out. So we have a long way to go. 7 billion people on the planet. We have a long way to go. And we're lucky that we're in America, that we're able to take this information. Because I'm telling you, in Russia, they actually, back when it was the socialist times, when it was really like information was so scarce, they locked up their Xerox copiers. It was locked up because they didn't want to share information. They didn't want the public to have all this information. Okay? So they based the public over there in Russia back then didn't have access to information. The only thing they had access to was government stuff. Okay, fine. Now we're in America. We have access to all of this information. And it's overwhelming on bodies that can't handle this information. They glitch. So, but there are a few of us in this population that are able to take the information and pull out the pieces that make sense, because we have academia, okay? We have biotech. They've done all the different research, PubMed, government sources. They've done the research on everything that has been substantiated in different contexts. Now we have the ability, and we have no borders on Facebook. We're sharing this information freely over borders. But then guess what? You have the privilege and the benefits of access to large amounts of information, but then also too, you're going to get a lot of disinformation. You're going to get a lot of bullshit that's going to come your way. And if you can't get yourself well balanced, you will not be able to discern between fact and fiction. So it's going from the one extreme of having no information in Russia back in the day to now having so much information. It's almost like having no information because you can't discern. So what do? You react. You buy into the party line, and then you try to act as if you're trying to be neutral, and then you still react because your body is so imbalanced, so on the death trajectory that you don't have the ability to discern. And that's what we see. And I'm looking at the anti-vax group, the political groups, the thing with the NRA and the Second Amendment. I'm thinking these outside instigators are taking the Second Amendment and weaponizing it against our population. You realize, all of you that are still buying into this BS back and forth as far as the politics, you're being weaponized against your own population. I'm not saying that we should take all the guns. I don't know how that's going to happen, though. There are some societies that have done that, and they're not dead. I mean, Australia did that, and they're still around. I got Australian people, they're doing the protocol on my Facebook, and they're doing great. They're playing soccer and having fun and doing the J juice and going through their own healing process. Nobody's coming knocking on their door. Okay? But I'm not saying that that's what happened. I don't want to even go political on that. I'm getting very political. But I'm telling you, your extreme focus on your political party is really a reaction from a manipulation, and it's going to cater to the demise of your own nation. And then guess what? People are going to be blaming you. Oh, you're so for Trump, and you're so for Hillary, or you're against Hillary, you're against Trump. And then it keeps perpetuating the same cycle, the looping. Okay, right now it's like I'm watching my brain go from the microcosm. So we're studying cells, we're studying what probiotics are, we're studying the micro and macro nutrition, we're studying the pain process, the hormones, candida, fungus, parasites, the food supply, what processed food is, the elemental composition of the human body, the elemental composition of the tables, the periodic tables, what balanced and well balanced, what strong and weak bodies are, what death and reproduction is, the 4 seasons. We're studying so much that we're taking everything from a very compartmentalized point of view, putting it all together. And then I'm going through my stages. I'm not looping back into the candida. If I were to keep talking about candida right now, I wouldn't be an exemplar, you know, I wouldn't be exemplifying the J juice, where it allows you to go from one thing and then deal with it and solve it and get to the next thing. And then the next thing, and then the next thing, and the next thing. Then what's next? Oh, who knows? Okay. I'm not looping in the whole Candida stuff. I graduated from Candida and now I'm into economics and world politics. And then you guys have seen all points in between if you look at my YouTube account and if you look at my Facebook. But those of you that are still stuck in your politics, whether it's Democrat, Republican, or some other anti-vax or some platform of I don't know, chemtrails and 5G and GMO and organic, you're exemplifying an imbalanced body that cannot get out of that looping. And you're not going to progress. You're going to stay stuck in that little political platform. You're not going to think on a global level, on a very macro level. You're going to think on a micro level. When you think on micro levels, you're not going to progress. You're not going to get to the next level because you're stuck in the micro. At some point, you're going to have to look at how everything is connected, the macro. You're going to have to. And if not, then hey, then you'll be stuck and you'll be on that death trajectory. And then when you have a major event, or you're still, because what's going to happen is you do the J juice just enough for you to be like, okay, I'm getting a little bit of benefit. I have a little bit of stuff. But you still keep, you know, because what happens is the stronger entity is going, because you're still living in a universe that is ever evolving, ever unfolding. The viruses are getting stronger. Okay, the bacteria are getting stronger. Climate is changing. And you're still stuck in your 1 or 2 cups a day. Maybe occasionally you'll do like 3 or 4 cups. And then you're stuck in your politics again, drawing like, oh my God, everything is crazy and everything is, you know, horrible, whatever, reacting. You're not going to be able to withstand the changes that are around you. The changes and the bacteria and things are getting stronger. And then you're working against yourself because you're still buying into all the bullshit. You're going to succumb. The J juice is going to do nothing for you if you cannot keep upping your game and upgrading your body to the level to where you can actually handle your environment. That's what I'm saying, that those of you that are still stuck in your little stage of 1 or 2 cups a day, if that. And then you're still cycling in the child trafficking, the, you know, whatever, all this stuff. We know that shit happens, but that's because it's based upon a weak society that's death, that's dying and reproducing. You're going to have that. You're going to have victims in our side. You're going to have predators in our side. That's a given because we're dying and we're reproducing. What I'm trying to now introduce is that we don't die and we don't reproduce. We're not going to have all the predators or their victims. But you actually have to do the juice to see this. And if you're not doing the juice, then you're going to still stuck in all the politics and stay stuck in your little platform of whatever it is that makes you feel like you're doing something when you're actually doing nothing at all, helping your nation or helping yourself. And so then you won't get to the next level of awareness, human consciousness, seeing through the macro bullshit, not the micro bullshit, but the macro bullshit. And then you start, see, here's the thing, when you finally get past the micro bullshit, now you get into the macro bullshit and you're seeing through that, then you start creating a future, a world that you want to see and live in. And then you start inspiring your friends and your family. There's no inspiration getting caught up in the Trump bullshit. There is no inspiration getting caught up in Monsanto versus organic. There's no inspiration in being anti-vax, pro-vax. There's no inspiration feeding into all the crap that the journalists are writing because that's what they were taught to do, is basically spin stories to make you react so that way they can fill their coffers off of your energy. There's no inspiration in that. But hey, if that's your inspiration, is to then get caught up in those little skirmishes, then more power to you. Just don't say that you're trying to help humanity when you're actually feeding into the demise of humanity. Inspiration comes from a well-balanced body, and not everybody's at the level where I'm at. Doesn't mean that you have to be where I'm at to be able to inspire somebody. Some of you are still dealing with your stuff, still have sickness, but you're also inspired to not partake in the bullshit, and you're doing something to inspire yourself and your friends and family. Not saying, okay, I'll just share Jillian's article or Jillian's website here and there. Oh yeah, I do JJ's, but you don't say why I do JJ's. You don't talk about your own. I mean, yeah, you still talk about the same stuff. Oh yeah, you know, my thyroid issue, my this issue. Yeah, I don't have, you know, these, you know. No, I mean, I see half-assed promotion of Jillian just to kind of shut her up so she can't say that you're not promoting her in any way. you know, come on. So, I mean, I'm telling you, you actually do the JJus at the level that we all need to, you're going to see the world and life and everything in a very different way. And so, and then you realize you don't want to take part. And then you see, and then you look at all the news articles and you look at the news sources and you're just like, you know, it gives you information, but you're going to now filter it through now your I don't know, through your mental clarity. But hating Trump or hating anybody or loving anybody in the media that you know nothing about isn't going to serve you or serve, and because it's just catering to the manipulations. Any reaction to anything as far as political wise is catering to the manipulations from outside entities that are trying to get you to react. Because guess who makes money off your reactions? The journalists, the politicians, corporations. And so a resource-based economy is predicated upon very well-balanced bodies that are not dying or reproducing. And so you environmentalists, take note. It's not just being, okay, I love Mother Earth, but I don't really respect my body and I'm allowing it to degrade. Pro-life is allowing your body to bloom on a continuous basis and allowing Mother Earth to bloom on a continuous basis. If your body is dying and you're all pro-life, then there is a hypocrisy somewhere. So yeah. Now, as far as how far can Jillian take this? Right now, I'm seeing through all of the political bullshit. I'm seeing through the global political bullshit. The global, the geopolitics. That's why I did that video yesterday about Jilly Juice and geopolitics. You're going to realize you're being manipulated. And it's because you're on a weak body. Some of you are not doing the JJus at the level that you should, so you're falling for all the geopolitics. You're having an opinion about something you know nothing about. And then you're going to fill in the blanks because that's what people do. When they don't know something, they don't want to admit they know something, so their subconscious, based upon all of their prejudices and all that stuff, will then fill in the blanks, and then this is your reality. And then you create that reality in your life as well as you project it, and that's how we have all this infighting. And then the weakening of America is based upon you filling in the blanks on stories that also filled in the blanks. So everybody's filling in their blanks, and now you have this reality that doesn't even exist. And then that's where the outside entities that understand that take down a strong nation, you actually get into the minds of the people. You find the weaknesses. And I'll tell you guys, your cancer, disease, and chronic illness, your aging and reproducing is a weakness. And somebody is capitalizing on your weakness. And what you post on Facebook is exactly showing your weakness. If you're not seeing through the bullshit and you're buying into the bullshit, whether you're pro or against or all that stuff, you are showing and exhibiting a weakness that somebody outside is going to then manipulate. So it's obvious. You guys don't realize how obvious you are in your weaknesses. And this is how societies get taken down. So up your dose of JJus, you guys. If not, then you're going to then be contributory to the fall of your own society. And I'm just going to watch, because it's now becoming very, 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 very fascinating to watch. Watching all of you react to everything in the media, and then watching what the media does to make you guys react and manipulate you, because they're being manipulated by somebody else. You know, as far as like, you know, the DNC and the Democrats and the Republicans. So they're fighting against each other, and then they're being fed information about each side, and each side is not going to share what they have. The DNC isn't going to go share their servers to see how they were being hacked. Okay, so nobody really knows the truth behind everything. They just know that they got hacked, and then Hillary Clinton had all of her emails being mischaracterized or being put out there. And now you have the Trump people going like, oh yeah, we're exposing the corruption in the Democrats. There's just as much corruption in the Republicans as there is in the Democrats, because you're dealing with people who have agendas, and you're dealing with people who are being manipulated by different entities. being driven by capitalism, by greed, by taking over a weakness, taking over a weak populations, and then also trying to live too at the same time. Okay, so not having an opinion on politics will show that you actually have a higher, that you can actually see through the bullshit. If you can admit that you don't even know what truly is going on in your government, what truly is going on behind all of these news stories, if you can actually admit that and not come from like, it's a truth, you've accomplished something in your life where you're not now going to be party to the psychological manipulations. But the fact that all of you, or most of you, react to all of the different political psychological manipulations shows that you're still stuck. Up your levels of J-juice. Work on not having an opinion about politics, about any of the for and against political platforms. Do we actually know what caused these political platforms to begin to be, in the first place? Okay? And so I'm going on to these different groups, and they're still talking about like the New World Order and Kissinger and Rothschilds and Rockefellers and the Morgans, and they're still touting the same party line. Oh, the New World Order, Putin's trying to stop the New World Order, and they're doing this and doing that, and they saved us from this. And you don't think that Putin and the KGB are going to be like problem, reaction, solution? You can apply this whole problem, reaction, solution to any specific thing. So you don't think you're being manipulated by outside entities or doing the whole, let's create a problem, then have a reaction, let's create a solution. Anybody can apply those methods to have nefarious intentions. So if you're reacting to Trump and you're reacting to the Democrats and you're reacting to anything out there that's written in an article, you're a victim of manipulation of the problem, reaction, solution based upon somebody's intention. You have no idea whose it is. That's why I say get on the J-juice, stay on the J-juice, worry about your friends and family, worry about your family and yourself. If you start seeing the decay of your own like neighborhood and you start seeing more and more crime, then you find ways to get yourself out of situations, get yourself out of areas that are not good. We still have law enforcement. We still have a working society. We still have government that really relatively works very well. Appreciate that instead of trying to find holes in stuff and then capitalize on the holes and stuff. Strengthen yourself to where you don't need to have government, but if you need government, it's there for people that do need it. People who are aging, who are reproducing, need government to help with the decline as well as with the growth process. But those that are able to produce in the middle at their peak should really stay there. But at least if you're declining, you have some resources. Okay? But appreciate the resources that we have while we're figuring out how we can stop the state of decline and stop reproducing at the same time. All right, that's all I got, because I got to pee. But you guys just understand where I'm coming from and replay this so that way you see what I'm talking about. And good luck. Stay on the J-juice. All right, bye.